I'm really excited about tonight. This is my first bar mitzvah. You mean this is not the Jerome Katzman bar mitzvah? I guess I can't use my Gentile jokes tonight. Anyway, what's in the news? You know, they had to stop the Jim Bakker trial again today. I guess they had to take a recess when the courtroom sketch artist ran out of colors trying to paint Tammy Faye's face. I don't know if you've seen the films they've been showing through the trial lately about the Bakker's lavish lifestyle. But it gave me an idea about how to attack the drug problem. We're going to just take these films down to Colombia, show them to the drug lords, and they'll all quit selling cocaine and become TV evangelists, because that's where the big bucks are anyway. The octogenarian Zsa Zsa Gabor has been in the news lately. I guess you've read about that. But she was late for a trial once again. I guess it was just a force of habit. She went to divorce court instead. But I think I'll be honest about it. Zsa Zsa is really getting a lot of kick out of this publicity she's beginning with this trial. In fact, she said today, even if she's found innocent, she's going to appeal. And she said the trial's like starring in a big Hollywood TV show. I'm kind of surprised that she could remember back that far. But anyway. Last week, how about Hurricane Hugo? Devastated the Caribbean, parts of the Atlantic coast. Reported 140 mile-per-hour winds. Now that's Hugo, not Hugo, which is lucky to get 40 miles per hour. President Bush was in the news. And he's continuing to hang tough on the drug problem. He says there are no plans to send troops into Colombia to fight the drug lords. Well, I'm a little suspicious about that. I think they may send troops. In fact, I heard today that ABC signed Lonnie Anderson and Brooke Shields for the big holiday special, Bob Hope's Christmas in Bogota. Take that for it. I guess you saw President Bush about a week ago on TV when he held up that bag of crack. Now, I applaud the president's efforts to stop drugs, but is this really the most effective way? Buying it one bag at a time? There's a new government survey out that says Colombia is responsible for 75% of our nation's addicts. Now that's just coffee. How many of you saw the president and the first lady on TV? The other night they were having a tour of the White House. How many of you saw that? Okay, very good. One person, a couple. All right. Well, they were showing the Lincoln bedroom where Lincoln slept and the Washington bedroom where Washington slept. But I kind of like when they showed the Oval Office where President Reagan slept. The part I found interesting, however, was the staff of the White House constantly updates the White House whenever there's an incoming president or whoever happens to be in office at the time. For example, in the 40s, they put in a swimming pool for Roosevelt. In the 60s, they put in a press room for Kennedy. And just this year, they put in child-proof locks for Vice President Quayle. Speaking of the Vice President, did you know he's been in Japan? I don't know how serious the Japanese are taking this visit. In fact, the highest-ranking person he's got to see over there is Joe Isuzu. Well, anyway, we have some great songs for you tonight, and a couple of the people here are going to be singing for you. And I think first on the list is Chris and Irv. We're going to ask them if they've come up. Call me strange, but I went to a party at the Surgeon General's house last night. Anybody ever go to a party at the Surgeon General's? It's terrible. You can't eat that. Don't touch that. That's dangerous. Oh, just a terrible party. I just sat and watched cable all night. Worst party I ever went to. I called the Jerry Leonard School of Golf the other day. Wanted to inquire about some classes, and while they had me on hold, I got to thinking. Not about jokes or insults or anything, but just thinking about things make you go, hmm. You ever do that? Try it with me. Okay. Like, did the Hunchback of Notre Dame ever get his degree? Or when you're in the supermarket and you see the Quaker Oats box, is that Barbara Bush? Is there a way to make golf more exciting? I mean, golf is boring. They could just do anything. Cheerleaders, or have a fight, somebody makes fun of somebody else's clothes and get into it. Or maybe a goalie in front of the hole, that would be neat. Oh well. When you flush things down the toilet, where do they go? You know, with all those systems getting together, is it possible that it could come back through the faucet at some time? Well, I wake up one morning and find something in my tank that I don't want in there. Why do they call them spare ribs? I bet the pig didn't think of that name. Star Search. Anybody watch Star Search? Star Search? Don't you wish just one time the losers would do what they really want to do? They're so nice. Just once, I'd like to see them do what they really want to do. I was robbed! What do you mean the 3.25? You can't sing better than me. I was robbed! Judges! I was robbed! Just once. Denny's is open 24 hours a day. I was driving by there the other day, and I got to thinking, when do they clean? I mean, they could be open 23 hours and just take 1 hour and clean up, I think. But in any case, we have some gifts for Jerry to open at this time. A couple people, one of those is here tonight. Jay's back here to leave. Yeah, I'm surprised we have any tourists in the Baltimore area now that Beirut Airport's open again. Anybody ever been to Beirut Airport? See, even the Hare Krishnas carry Uzis over there. It's pretty tough. In the Middle East, the ambassador to Lebanon and his staff were evacuated last week. Now, how do you get to be ambassador to Lebanon? Give a campaign contribution to the Michael Dukakis campaign? Tough room here. Stop late. Went to McDonald's this morning for breakfast. They told me I didn't deserve a break today. On the stranger side of the news, the president of Iraq is offering $1.5 million to anyone who can explain how King Nebuchadnezzar watered the famed gardens of Babylon. Do you think a watering can and a ladder had anything to do with it? Apparently our biblical history is not as strong as it used to be. Here's something unbelievable, the law and all its wisdom. In New York City now, they will fine bums, transients, homeless people, $50 for bathing in public restrooms. Now, if you had $50, would you bathe in a public restroom? Apparently some of you would. Have you been following the case of the 7 frozen embryo? Did you see the 7 frozen embryo on TV? Aren't they just darling things? And that little Timmy, isn't he precious? Actually, the frozen embryos have gone home temporarily. I guess to make sure that they were safe, the parents put a baby on board sign on the freezer. But you gotta admit, it must be tough for the friends of the family to buy gifts for the embryos. I mean, you don't know what sex they are. Do you buy pink ice trays or blue ice trays? How do you know? Here's something real annoying. Boy, I went to Exxon station yesterday, and the attendant cleaned half my windshield, then stopped. Said it was company policy. You'll get that. Last but not least, here's something fascinating. Scientists have made some frightening predictions about this greenhouse effect that we've been hearing about. They said in 10 years the climate on Earth will be so warm that 90% of the population will be forced to dress like Cher. All right. Yeah. We asked a few of you as you came in to write down some questions that you might have of me. And Mike's going to come up and read some of those and see if we can answer.
A lot of comedians were kind of wacky or offbeat as a child. What kind of kid were you? What kind of job?
Strange. Actually, it started before I was born. My mother carried me low, as they say. Actually, for the last few weeks, my feet were hanging out. She was the only woman in the neighborhood that wore maternity shoes. But she said I was very handy climbing stairs. But as a kid, I was kind of sensitive. In fact, I was so sensitive, my mother had to wash me in Woolite. Yes.
How did you do in school?
School, Well, every summer I'd forget everything I learned the year before. So I was kind of in a constant state of starting over. But I was a daydreamer in school. Sit and look out the window. Look at this window here. In fact, if they had a class, what's happening outside the window, I would have been tops in the class. But I got in trouble a lot in school. You see, I used to lie a lot. And I heard the biggest lie you told was the easiest one to believe. So that's the way I went. One day I was late for school and they asked me, "Where were you?" Well, I said, "My folks died in their sleep and I had to iron my own shirt." Well, they knew it was a lie because they could see the shirt was real well ironed. But it wasn't easy to learn in that school. In fact, it was a tough school. They didn't have a lot of money and the budget was small, so small that they weren't teaching but half the alphabet. So anything after M, I'm not real good at. Renaissance, the Reformation, Russia, any of those. No?
I would think being a funny person, you would have had a lot of friends as a kid, did you?
Growing up, I didn't have any friends. I was a loner, but I did have an imaginary friend, but I didn't bother with it. I didn't like him. I didn't care for him, in fact. He wasn't my kind of person. The other kids would play cops and robbers, I would play cop. They played hide and seek, and I'd play hide. In fact, I hid one time for 3 weeks before I realized nobody was looking for me. Kind of sad. My mother realized it.
Did you always want to be a
People always ask me if I always want to be a comedian. I really didn't always want to be a comedian. When I was a kid, I was kind of a typical boy. I wanted to be a hospital administrator. Well, either that or a postal inspector for the railway. That would have been nice. Anyway, when I was a teenager, you know what I wanted to be? I wanted to be a wholesale distributor of aluminum products. But sometimes your dreams just don't come true. But Jerry here's wishing that if they haven't already, your dreams will come true. Happy birthday.